In today's video, we're going to be having a conversation about if now is the time to buy to pick up some of these Pokemon cards. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Lastly, if you haven't done so already, check out the links down in the description below to be a part of the community any other way. Two I recommend in particular. One is for our Discord. The other is for our Patreon if you want to access Pokemon products as well as other trading card game sets at wholesale distributor level prices. Make sure to check the link out for that in particular. But jumping into today's topic. So couple of sets we're going to be looking over, and one in particular I've been getting quite a bit of questions for. That would be Crown Zenith. I hear all the time, all right, Eli, we officially have the premium collection out. Is now the time to pick up some of the cards in the set? And we're going to break down these three sets, and more or less you can just kind of get a sense for the feeling that I have towards this video, which is, yes, it's going to be a ton of good opportunities, but we're going to break it down card by card. But I have one special announcement I actually wanted to make before we officially started off the video. So not this Friday, but the following Friday, we are going to be doing a super duper special break. So for those of you guys that don't know, I am a huge Diamond, Pearl, Platinum fan, one of my favorite sets, and I was able to get a hold of some Pokemon Platinum base set, Supreme Victors, and some Arceus packs for a really, really good price. And because of that, I thought it would be extremely fun to do a big break with those packs. I'm going to be offering them below market price. So not only are you going to be getting them for cheaper than you're going to be able to find them unweighted anywhere else, but you're going to be able to get an opportunity to either purchase an art set, or if you just want to buy a single one, you can. The kind of emphasis that I want to put on it, though, however, I will say, is if you do want to keep it sealed art set, I will penalize you by charging more. However, if you want to open your pack, then I will give you a discounted, cheaper rate so that we can have fun opening. And then as someone, once again, who's a huge Diamond and Pearl fan, I will also do a reimbursement where if you, for example, let's say you just hit, a reverse holo, you didn't get anything crazy, then I will buy your bulk from you for a rate depending upon what the market value. And I'll pay a premium for your cards too, because I want to collect as much Diamond and Pearl as I can. And so it's an opportunity for people to feel like they get something out of it. One fun catch to this all, or I shouldn't say it's a catch actually, but one additional incentive for people is that if you, let's say you buy 5 packs and you're like, Eli, I want to buy these 5 packs and I want to open them a part of the break. I will give a contingency because I know Diamond and Pearl pack weights so well, where I will weigh the pack for you. If it is a heavy, then obviously we're going to open it 100%. And if it's a light, I will give you the option if you want to keep it sealed. But this is specifically for those individuals that did buy the pack break versions. I'm going to give 2 versions, keep sealed version on the site, and then a much cheaper version, which is going to be break open. So that way, if you end up buying a pack that you listed that you wanted to break, but then it ends up being a light, then I'm going to honor you being able to keep it sealed because you're obviously going to want to keep that artwork that you can grade or do whatever you want. So it's more fun that way. You get to keep the value of the pack for yourself. And we'll get to see a lot of kind of big hitters. And I've got quite a bit of these packs. I opened a couple of myself just to kind of confirm what the general weights were. And I was 100% on base with what some of the weights are. So I'm going to know exactly what's going to have a heavy in it. So when someone does ask, is this a heavy, Eli? Is this a light or not? I'll be able to tell you so we can determine whether you open up your pack or not. So super fun event. But yeah, I won't dive too much into that other than it's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, not this Friday, the following Friday. What is today? Today is Wednesday. So just to give you guys an exact date, it is going to be on Friday the 19th. So, but yes, jumping into the topic though, now that we've gotten that announcement out of the way, and I'll be listing those packs later after this video has been posted. So, Giratina V-Star has been the main one we've really been focusing on because I put so much emphasis on that card since it is the leading card in the set. Same thing goes with the majority of other cards and some of the sets we're going to be looking at. But Giratina V-Star in particular, I had told you guys that my prediction was leading up to the what was the items that it was leading up to? Oh, the more Pecco boxes, right? I suggested that the prices were probably going to go down to $100, maybe slightly below that. Well, as you guys can see from the chart, it did indeed go below that amount. However, it has actually found a bottom, and we just recently had the premium collection boxes just get released to us this last week. So we potentially should see maybe a flatlining, but it looks like honestly have found our bottom. Maybe you can say this goes down to 90, maybe you can say this goes down to 95, but I feel at this point pretty confident that we're in the buy range specifically for this card. And I think this can honestly be said for the variations of other cards within the set. I think with the Arceus V-Star, this is another card as well that we can see an opportunity for. I mean, gosh dang it, man. Look at the price on this card right now. It's going for 7. I mean, it's just been doing nothing but going down. So this one, it might be a little bit different from the Giratina, but I think we're nearing the bottom for this card. So I see this as a good opportunity. Mewtwo, Origin Form Palkia, more or less, a lot of these cards, I'm seeing them and I'm looking as opportunities for pickups for Crown Zenith. And you guys know my sentiment for Crown Zenith as a set, right? I think Crown Zenith is going to be an amazing set long term. I greatly appreciate the art design for the set. It's got an absolutely star-studded amount of different cards as well as Pokemon within it. So I think that honestly, if you're someone that wants to master set Crown Zenith, I think either now or give it a week or two, depends on how patient you are. We're basically going to be nearing the bottom. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. There 1,000% could be a reprint for this, but under the assumption that, let's say hypothetically, there isn't a reprint that occurs, this is the product that's going to be available. Still, it is a really good time to pick it up if you are someone that wants to master set. If you are someone that's looking at this maybe as an investment perspective because you're wanting to go in and flip the cards, that's a completely different situation. I still think it's not a bad pickup. Especially with the way in which things have been trending in the direction of nothing's getting printed properly to the capacity that everyone would like. So I can still see it as an opportunity. However, we do not have a full-on confirmation that there is no possibility of the set ever getting a print again because it just came out this year, and typically it's going to stay in rotation for at least another year to 2 years. So it's entirely possible, but at this point, who knows what's going to happen with the Pokemon Company and reprinting product. But moving on to the next set, this one, okay, Silver Tempest, guys. Let's have a conversation about Silver Tempest. Prices for this set, holy crap, it's just been down. That's all it has been. It has been down, it has been down, it has been down. And obviously the Lugia in particular is seeing that trend the most. Serena, you're also seeing that trend go down, just a continuation of trend when it comes to these cards. Once again, the Lugia, you're seeing the exact same thing with the rainbow variation. I mean, prices for these cards are starting to go down. And I also want to give a shout out to Mason on this one. We're going to talk about this more in one of the other sets that we're going to bring up, the last set that we're going to bring up. But he brings up, I feel like, a very, very, and Mason from Cardinal Gaming, just so that I'm being specific. I had him on our live this last Thursday, I think it was, or Tuesday a week ago. And he brought up some really good points when discussing about the overall demand to the general supply discussion, right? And you guys know how much emphasis I put on supply and demand because it's just basic fundamentals of economic theory, right? I believe that if there's an item that has high demand, then it also has a low supply. Odds are prices are going to be on the higher end because of scarcity. If there is an item that is low demand and it has a high supply, then I believe that the prices for the item are going to be much lower because of the just inflated supply that it has. So just basic, once again, economic theory. And so when I take a look at some of these cards and I say to myself, okay, well, is this a card that people really, really care from like a long-term perspective? for the value of it, because most of these cards, their values are just absolutely like they're just starting to crash and they're continuing to crash, and there's been no sort of sign for the floor. And so the question for that is this more or less because these are dud cards? Is this just because the general supply is just continuing to go? Is there any sort of demand for these items? And I feel like the important point that he brought up, which was, hey, at the end of the day, we're looking right now and we're noticing what the Sun and Moon era is doing with alternate art cards. And yeah, sure, these alternate art cards, they're sitting at, sub 1,000 population for most of them, right? And they're shooting up a ton. However, as we know, demand scales over time. And sure, you might have, let's say, a Latias alternate art that has a 1,000 population or slightly below it. And you're going to have a Lugia that's going to have like a 3 or a 4,000 population. So it's going to be 3 to 4x. But we know that over time, the demand for this item is going to scale because it is a Lugia. It is a card that is going to be high demand long term. And as we also know with that, there is a massive amount of appreciation for art designs over time, both in the present and in the future, which gives us an opportunity to determine whether or not, okay, do we really put so much emphasis on the supply just based on the fact that, okay, we can have this argument right now because, okay, the reason why this card is dropping in price so much is because the supply means so much and the demand is not there. But when we look at that time frame of 5 to 10 years and we say the scalability of how many people could be joining into the market or are going to want that card in the future, and then start to look on this nostalgically and then start to say, okay, well, Silver Tempest is now a 5 to 10-year-old set. There's not as much supply of sealed product, and this is kind of it when it comes to the singles. It really brings up that argument that, hey, there is an opportunity to look at this set and look at this card and say, it might honestly be worth picking up as a long-term investment as we hopefully get close to the bottom on this card. Now, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but I seem to be pretty decent so far at predicting prices when it comes to finding bottoms. We know right now it's about 177 is what we're seeing on TCG Player, the low being, according to this chart, 168. Over the year-long trend, it has more or less just been a continuation of downtrend. However, being the fact that this is a Lugia and this is an alternate art design, and this is a card that is relatively scarce in the grand scheme of things, I would be stunned if we really saw this card drop below 120, 150, unless we had like an absolute catalyst of a Silver Tempest booster box reprint, right? I think that you could see the price of this card continue to go down to the 150s, the 160s, into the 170s. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think you really need to wait because the price of this card right now is really good. Now, from a PSA to singles ratio, I would disagree because you guys know my philosophy. I want at least a 150% spread value between the raw and the 10 variation of the card. And right now we are not seeing that. It is about, I think the PSA 10 selling for roughly around 300. But that almost actually makes an argument for why it might even be worth picking up the PSA 10 card because the value of it could be extremely undervalued compared to the single. But only time is more or less going to tell with that card. Speaking of another set we're also going to be discussing with this outside of just the Silver Tempest set, if you are, before I show the other one, interested in master setting, once again, look at all these card valuations, right? Alternate art wise, you're talking about the remaining alternate art sub 30. And you can hate all you want, obviously, if you're not a fan of Unknown, Regidrago, or Skunk Tank. But if you're someone that cares about just master setting, who freaking cares? You're going to buy it all, and you're going to buy it for cheap because everything is dirt cheap in this set right now. Like, it's crazy to see how it's basically boom or bust when opening with the Lugia. Sure, you can get a Serena. Sure, you can get a Lugia Rainbow, but it's a $30 card. It's not like you're pulling a $100+ card, a $50, $75+ card. So the opportunity to be able to master set this for a relatively affordable price, it's there, honestly. But the last set we're going to look at, and one of the cards I also want to give a shout out to, just because Mason brought it up, it's going to be Lost Origin. So Lost Origin This one is a little bit different, and I think history is once again going to tell a different story. People might agree with me, people might disagree with me on this. And this is coming from what I believe to be a non-biased perspective, because you guys know I am a huge Gen 4 fan, right? I mentioned this. We're doing a break for this. Giratina, one of my favorite Pokemon, if not, it is my favorite legendary. You guys know this. And for that reason, I look at this card and I say to myself, I love this art design. I want this art design. But do I think it's appropriate to be valued so much more than the value of Silver Tempest and the Lugia? Well, as we know right now, alternate art rates from what we've seen are ridiculously difficult to pull. And so I think there's a factor that's being calculated with this. I don't believe that people see a Galarian Berserker alternate art and they say, yeah, I love a Galarian Berserker alternate art compared to any of these other alternate art designs in Silver Tempest. And that's not to say that, this is a bad art design or these are better art designs, right? I just look at the valuations of these alternate arts in this set and I compare it across the board to this. And I say there's other factors at play as to why there's an argument to be made that it could potentially be a little overvalued at the moment when looking at the alternate arts. But even then, if you're still taking that into consideration, that they're quote unquote, they look more inflated because of the pull rates, that still doesn't mean that it's not going to be prevalent in the long term when it comes to these cards, because people time and time again are going to look at them and they're going to say they're alternate arts and they're going to go off of whatever the market value is. You think 5 to 10 years from now, people are going to say to themselves, oh, well, I think that the Rotom's overvalued because it should have never, cost this much, just based on the fact that it's so much higher because during the time there was a lot harder of a hit rate for alternate arts. If anything, it's the counter argument, but no one's going to do that, right? Everyone's just going to say, hey, is that a Rotom? It's an alternate art. Oh, that's cool. I like that art design. I'm going to buy it. Like, that's just going to be the simplistic viewpoint that people are going to look at these card arts. And so that's just what they're going to be deemed from a value perspective. And based on what the market is showing us right now for this set, it's more or less just been a sideways market for these singles. But if you're paying attention to what's been going on with Lost Origin booster boxes and booster packs right now are pushing $4 to $4.20, and the sealed booster box is going for around $175 to $180. So prices for Lost Origin sealed is just climbing. And with the alternate arts, they've kind of found their bottom. And with the rainbow and the gold cards, they have seen a significant drop most recently, which those were obviously a much easier time to pull things but than the alternate arts. But still, I kind of want to digress with that because I don't see these being a continued pattern for golds, rainbows, etc. And I don't see more than just an upward trajectory in the medium to long term for Lost Origin, as long as there, of course, is not going to be another print, just based on the fact that the overall value of the booster boxes are so much and the price per pack to open up this product is going to just get more expensive over time. So it's going to make it less affordable to open Lost Origin product. And it's weird to say that because Lost Origin is still such a, the set is so brand new and there's so much product readily available for it. But that doesn't change the fact of the matter that when you go and look at the market price online, it's telling a completely different story. And that's why I think there's so much opportunity in the medium term to short term for this versus Silver Tempest, more of a medium to long term, because I think there's still possibility for a slight decrease with Silver Tempest, but I feel like we actually might start to see increases in these cards relatively soon. And we're just looking at what the potential bottom is right now. Now, the shout out I obviously wanted to give to Mason was talking about art designs and undervaluing of cards. When we go take a look at ourselves and we look at some of the character rare subset cards that are also pretty dang cheap, talking about or speaking of art designs, right? One of the most popular characters of all time, obviously, Pikachu. You look at sets time and time again that have Pikachu art designs, they perform extremely well. we know right now, based on what Sun and Moon's done and the character rare arts have done, like, remember Red's Pikachu from Cosmic Eclipse? The value of that card absolutely skyrocketed. It went crazy. I think at one point it was worth like, $7-8, and then it went all the way up to $80-90. Now it's flatlined at around $50-60, so it's come back down to reality. But it's just a regular yellow border character rare. It's nothing special about it. And who's to say that an art design like this, which is, sure, it's just a common card, but who cares, man? Remember the Jungle Pikachu, which was just a common card from first edition, how it went from $50 all the way up to $1,000, and now it's come back down to reality at $250, $300. Like, cards that are common will still perform extremely well, especially if there's a iconic art design attached to it. And so this was one of the cards that Mason did point out. And I think more than ever, we really need to start looking at the fundamentals of a lot of these sets in Ultra Modern and say to ourselves, okay, everything feels like not a good opportunity because of the supply, and really starting to change that thought process. And I'm speaking also for myself too, right? Because this is something I'm starting to train myself and looking at in terms of long-term opportunities, just based on the fact that we've realized what the market is showing us with Sun and Moon, that sure, the card population for these are, they're not Sword and Shield era, but they're still, 7, 8, 9, 1,000 card population reports, and they're just pumping because of the art designs. And if you're wanting to be conservative, there's an argument to be made that because of the population, they're not going to pump nearly as much. But there's still an argument to be made that because of the art designs, people are not going to give a crap, because they're going to look at this and they're going to say, this is awesome. And they're going to enjoy this because the demand is going to be there, right? Like, obviously, there's going to be a more competitive market because there's going to be more of this prevalently showing up on eBay auctions. But there's still going to be more people that are going to be wanting these, as we've already seen with card arts such as within Evolving Skies. I think Evolving Skies, and this might seem like a hot take or this might be a weird comparison, I think Evolving Skies, because of the demand for the set right now, is going to be demand for the future of these current sets I just listed. And what I more or less mean by that is, we know that because of Evolving Skies, it is entirely possible for sets with extremely high populations in the Sword and Shield era to perform ridiculously well, right? But it's because it's a set like Evolving Skies. I think that shows us that in the future, as demand and scarcity starts to play and creep into these other sets, that they will eventually get to the point of demand that Evolving Skies is currently at right now. It's just going to take them longer times to mature because the demand is not there right now, and the demand is going to scale up over time. Hopefully that makes sense with what I'm more or less saying, but I think there's a real argument, once again, to be made that there's a ton of opportunity with these art designs, both quite frankly in the character rare subsets, because we know how well character rares have performed. They've performed extremely well most recently, specifically with the alternate arts. And heck, this might even be a hot take. There's even an argument to be made that some of these rainbow cards might perform well for the high demand characters, just based on the fact that rainbows, people might hate them right now, and I'm one of the people that was stoked they got rid of rainbows. But nostalgia, it's a thing, man. It is a thing. When Sun and Moon first got rainbows, it was so hype. Everyone was so stoked about it. And then by the time Sword and Shield rolled around near the back end, people were ready to move on. But 5-10 years from now, people are going to look back on rainbows and be like, man, I remember the rainbows for the Giratina. That was such a cool card. I really want to pick it up. So there's even an argument to be made with that as an opportunity. So as we're starting to move away from sealed product, or I shouldn't say move around, that's a very dangerous statement. As we're starting to look for opportunities outside of sealed product, I think we should look no further than some of the ultra modern cards that are prevalent in some of the most popular, if not some of the best art design sets that we've seen in the Sword and Shield era. So those are the 3 sets that I'm taking a look at. I mentioned a couple of cards, but if you're someone that wants to master set, or you're looking for opportunities for long-term investments, I think these are the 3 sets that you should ultimately be looking for in the Sword and Shield era, as I see Sun and Moon and what's been going on with those cards as foreshadowing for what could happen in the future for Sword and Shield. Because guess what, guys? We're in Scarlet and Violet era now, and it's gonna be older. These sets are gonna become a lot older, a lot faster than we may realize. So as time's gonna just keep on rolling. But as far as it goes, hopefully you found this video to be informative. But I know it's a lot to kind of take in or take away, but art designs, man, they are definitely going to just show us the true value of what Pokemon's IP is going to look like in the future. But that is all for today's video. Make sure if you want to enter into weekly giveaways, you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Outside of that, you want to be a part of the community any other way, make sure to check out our Patreon to get access to wholesale prices if you're interested in joining that. Outside of it, please make sure to click on the link to stay up to date on all things when it comes to the PokemartUSA community through our Discord. And then, yeah, like I said, I'll be posting those break packs relatively soon. Super excited for that. Hopefully we should be able to sell out. I mean, it's going to be a really good price, so I'd be quite surprised if we didn't sell out. But either way, it's going to be a fun time. We're going to see some big hitters from the 3 sets I listed: Spring Victors, Arceus, and Platinum Base. But that is all. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on our Thursday live. Peace.